Hello, Spark fans. Welcome back to Advancing Spark, where today we're having a look in an area of the data sciencey kind of world that's getting a lot of buzz at the moment, which is a thing called Chat GPT. Now, there've been a load of these generative AI kind of tools coming out, doing images, doing text, answering questions for you. We're seeing a whole load of these things coming out, but there's just a ton of buzz around it, loads of different examples, loads of different use cases. So I thought we'd just kind of take a look, especially around certain Microsoft announcements that have been going on, which we're going to get a little bit more detail into. Now, as I've told you before, I'm not a data scientist, so we'll have Gavi back on the show to explain it, give us a viewpoint, and give us a bit of a demo about how it works. Before we get to that, again, a reminder, we do now have the online training platform, so if you want to give that a go, discount code of SparkFans down there, and I'll sling a link up in the corner. And as always, if you're new around here, don't forget to like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go and say hello to Gavi. Hello, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Simon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. Been playing around with lots of. I've been generating just lots and lots of images and just seeing the chaos that can be imagined. It's cool.
I've seen some of your generation, Simon. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It still doesn't mean I can call myself an artist.
Oh, I don't think so.
No. All right. So what are we here to talk about today?
Well, I've been really excited to do this. I'm here to talk about the big announcement that you might have seen a couple of days ago, announced by Microsoft. In terms of Azure OpenAI is generally available now. So it's there for people to go and have a play with OpenAI and see the capabilities. Now, OpenAI, it's the technology that backs Chat GPT, which has lots of excitement about. You know, you've seen it even featured in BBC News the other night, Simon. So
I know. It's like slowly like we're becoming famous, but you know, not so much on the Spark data side, but it's okay.
Yeah, so Chat GPT was created by OpenAI, obviously, released back in November 2022.
Mm-hmm.
But did you know, Simon, as soon as they opened it for public testing or for public release, they gained 1 million users in 5 days.
I mean, that is madness levels of people getting excited about it.
And just to give you a bit of context, it took Netflix 3.5 years to achieve those numbers.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. Well, I mean, to be fair, they're not charging for it currently because it's a beta open thing. I mean, lots of people like free things, but currently, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Currently, it's free. It's another way for democratizing AI, right? It giving people the ability to use it to see what's capable of doing, and then to see what they can do, the art of the possible.
Yeah.
What can Chat GPT do? So it goes back to what is Chat GPT? Chat GPT is chat generative pre-training transformer. So what it's done is effectively it's scoured the internet. So it's covered all the articles, Wikipedia, all the resources available on the internet, and it's trained advanced language model.
Yeah.
So it's almost like having a robot that's learned how to read from many articles and books and able to generate stories for you automatically.
So a text generator based on a whole load of text.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And it's pretty awesome in terms of its capability, Simon.
And to be very, very clear, ChatGPT and the Microsoft OpenAI announcements.
Yeah, well, ChatGPT is not available yet with the OpenAI, but I've been told it will come. So cool. In time, Simon, in time it'll be there.
That's very cool. Very exciting.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. So I've got one sneaky example up my sleeve of what ChatGPT can be used for. But I think then you're going to show us some more examples, and you've got a plan for today.
Well, what I want to do is, if you're up for it, I'd like a bit of challenge here, Simon. I'd like ChatGPT to challenge yourself. So ChatGPT versus Simon Whiteley.
Oh, you're going to make me fight for my job against a robot?
Well, just to showcase its capability.
We can give it a go. Before we get there, let me switch over and have a look at this thing. So we put a blog out. So on the Advancing Analytics blog, there is a blog that has been written by ChatGPT. So out of sheer laziness, we went to ChatGPT and said, explain what ChatGPT is. And it's generated a blog. It's generated a blog with sections. It's got little context sections. It's got headers. It goes and explains what it's for, including use cases for things. It's kind of crazy. I'm now going to question certain people on the data science side of Advancing Linux Did you write that yourself?
Oh, sweet. Well, those are so in the blog. There's some capabilities to showcase cool ways businesses can use Chat GPT, right? So you can do text sentiment analysis, and if you think of, if you're a financially related company, you can use it for so many things. I'm thinking in terms of even claim processing, you can get Chat GPT to understand what you're trying to pull out from your documentation, classify it, summarize it. The text summarization capability of Chat GPT is pretty amazing as well.
But I guess it can only explain things based on the text that it had. So if you invented a new thing, come up with a load of new terms and say, what does this mean? It's not going to be able to do it because it's not had any exposure to that context, right?
Absolutely. There are certain limitations, and OpenAI has been very transparent about it. The data is only, they've only trained the model till 2021. So if you're expecting any kind of current news or current technology, it's not there yet.
Cool. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. I mean, so that's one wacky example, but let's go and do something in action. You want to challenge me? Bring it on.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to your screen. Okay.
So I've collated a couple of questions, just a couple, Simon. So if you're up for this challenge, my first question is, what is Delta?
What is Delta? Okay, Delta is an open source file format made originally by Databricks, which wraps Parquet in a transaction log. So you can then do things like schema evolution, you can do time travel, you can do kind of restore to previous versions, and it brings a lot of like SQL functionality to Parquet and Spark and other things.
That sounds pretty cool to me. You're the Spark guru here in advancing analytics. Do you want to have a look at what Chat GPT is generated?
I'm curious. So you say, what is Delta?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I've run before, and it hasn't given quite the exact same response as what you've given me, Simon.
Yeah, fair. I mean, in that case, Chat GPT here doesn't know it's on a YouTube channel that nearly constantly talks about Spark. Doesn't have the context of that, so that's fair. If you said what is a delta, then you'd be talking about a river, you'd be talking about incrementals, all that kind of stuff. So
exactly,
maybe that's on Databricks for the naming of their file format.
But it's pretty cool, right? Because if you don't provide any context, it's going to give you a variety of answers, and that's what ChatGPT has done here. And what is also said at the very end, which I like, is please provide more context. I can give you more specific answers. So
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Be more specific. Okay.
So if I was to go back and rewrite this question and perhaps have said, what is Delta in terms of Databricks? It would have possibly given me the right answer. In fact, I'm really confident it would have given me the right answer.
Cool. Okay. That kind of makes sense. So it needs context. And exactly. I've started to see people coming out going, they're doing training about how to write GPT prompts and turning it into a business about, no, I'm not a data engineer. I'm a Chat GPT prompt engineer now. That's how it works. But cool. All right.
Yeah.
Challenge number 2.
Challenge number 2 then. This is one of the questions I often get. So I thought I'll ask you, Simon, and ask Chat GPT as well. What's the difference between Parquet and Delta in Databricks?
Okay. So Parquet is a columnar file format. So it stores data as columns, compresses it down really well. Delta is based on Parquet, so Delta contains Parquet files. But again, gives you that transaction log and gives you the additional functionality you can have by having time travel and all that good stuff wrapped around it. But they both still have Parquet inside.
Exactly. So on top of Parquet. So let's have a look at what ChatGPT has told us then, Simon. Pretty much the same thing, right? Parquet is a columnar storage format. Delta is built on top of Parquet and adds additional features for data management. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And there's some things I would correct in there as a Delta note. Well, one, Delta is open source. It can be used outside of Databricks. It can be used by Spark. It can be used by Rust. It can be used by Python. It can be used by a whole load of different things. Yep. But then if this was trained in 2021, it was more limited. Other things that could talk to Delta back then.
Yep.
But yeah, otherwise that's scarily actually mostly correct, right?
What I was looking for as well, perhaps, is Delta to have ACID transactions. I don't really see that, but
yeah, fair.
Yeah, so that's what I would have anticipated to see, but ChatGPT hasn't quite given me that.
Well, that last paragraph, that summary, is pretty much what I said, right? It's a storage form optimized for analytical queries. Delta is a format that provides additional management on top of Parquet. That is spot on and terrifying for my future employment.
Well, let's see. I've got one more question then, Sam. A couple more questions, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to be quite a codey question, so I'm going to apologize in advance to put you on the spot here, Simon.
Okay.
But how would you partition a PySpark data frame?
How would I partition a PySpark data frame? Well, I want to say, are you trying to partition it in memory across the workers? Are you trying to write it out as partition data? If you're doing it in memory, then it's repartition or coalesce. Coalesce can only be used if you're reducing partitions. Whereas repartition always causes a shuffle, but it can go up or down. So coalesce or repartition. I'm assuming going to be a lot less waffly than my answer.
Let's have a look. So, yep, I see repartition or coalesce. And that's pretty much it. And it also provides code examples. So you've got code snippets there ready for you.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's fair. And it's right, yeah, coalesce is used to decrease the number of partitions. I'm assuming at that point it had just scraped some PySpark documentation at some point. So, I got the answer there. It's a bit like the Q&A scrapers that we've seen in previous iterations of things. But that's something that can just field questions from anything. That is scary that it has the answer right there.
Exactly.
Cool.
So, so you're agreeing. So far, you're doing pretty well. And ChatGPT is doing pretty well. Is that fair to say?
When it provided the context, and if you ask it the question the right way, that is, it's doing great.
Okay. Are you up for a bit more questions, Simon?
Yeah, go on.
You're doing
Hit me.
so well. Right, you're going to have a bit more codey questions as well.
Okay.
I'm going to explore how you'd write a PySpark data frame to read CSV file.
Okay.
And the specific file is going to be called a certain name as well. So if I type this out, let's have a look. Let's have a look at this.
So you need that. So this is starting a new question. Is this one you've prepped?
I'm going to start a new question, Simon. So I'm going to click new chat. Right. So write a PySpark data frame to read a CSV file called mysales.csv.
Okay.
But before I click on enter, you're going to give me your response. How would you do this?
Okay. So we're expecting this to be df, or the name of a data frame. So df equals spark.read. I'll hope it says .format CSV rather than .csv, so it's not using the explicit CSV data. And then .load brackets mysales.csv.
Sounds right. Here we go. It's live. It's thinking about it.
Okay. There you go. Okay, it's creating a session for you. You don't need to do that if you're in Databricks, but a general Spark you do. It's built a session for us. Data frame equals spark.read.csv. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
But that is correct. I mean, if it's not the best practice way of writing it, because I would generally kind of use .format and .load. But yeah, spark.read.csv will read it. It's assumed that you're using header and infer scheme as true, but they are the defaults that you normally have on when you read a CSV. Yeah, that's good.
That's pretty good, right? That'll get me where I need to get to. If I didn't know how to do it, and if I use ChatGPT for a bit of help,
yeah,
I'll get where I want to get.
It gives you a good start today, right?
Yeah. All right. For following on from that question, then, what if I only wanted to select particular columns within the data frame? How would you do that?
So as a separate thing underneath that, and say, df equals data frame dot or df dot select, and then kind of list the columns I want to do, or select expr if I want to do a bit of SQL to define them and rename them, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. Shall we have a look? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
So I'm assuming this is kind of where we get to the chat aspect from it, right? So is that going to have the context of the previous comment? I know that it's still talking about that CSV, and it's saying actually go and use that, but do this to it as well.
Conversational, yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool. So if you can get it to give a go, give you something, and then say now do that to it, now do that to it, now do that to it, and slowly get closer to the answer. A bit like having a developer sitting there with you. that you then poke and say, no, not like that. Not like that. Change it. Make it better.
Yeah. Obviously, it's taking its time. I don't know whether it's going to do it, Simon.
Oh, it's been thrown off. See, I could give you the answer immediately. Okay. Yeah, dataframe.select gives you a list of columns. Absolutely.
What I like about this as well, it even comments it for you.
I know,
that's
right?
clean.
It writes better code than a lot of PySpark developers. That's terrifying. Oh, cool. Yeah, so you can... Again, a bit like how I said it could do select or select DXPR. It's used select in both sides, but it's giving you two different syntaxes that you can use with select. Because Spark's like that. There's like 5 different ways you can do anything. I mean, that's awesome. So you can just keep going, getting it to tweak things and go back.
Yeah, let's have one more follow-on question. What if a data frame doesn't have your typical separators? What if it has a pipeline separator? How would you then do that?
Okay. So in the initial spark.read, you'd have a dot option, and then you'd have sep as the option with then a pipe character. So if you're going to ask that, we wanted to rewrite the data frame, the select with that option in there.
It's conversational, right, Simon? I'm hoping that it understands the context now. Let's have a look.
Okay. That is very conversational, actually. Go back.
Actually.
Oh yeah, okay. It's got that.
Yep. It's exactly what you've said, Simon.
Slightly different. So I tend to do it as dataframe.option as opposed to including it as additional parameters inside the .csv. And it's still using .csv there. But yeah, that works. And then now it's using select DXPR. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yep, and even explains what it would do. So as you can see, you can use it for code development as well.
That's surprisingly good at giving little snippets of code examples. Doesn't give you all of the context of why you'd use one over the other, but the fact that it even just offers up some options is great.
Yeah, and I think if you wanted an explanation, you could ask Chat GPT to give you that explanation.
You could be the child there going, why? Yes, but why?
Why would I do it? Or the other way? What are the benefits? Yeah, absolutely.
That's very, very cool. All right, can I give it a go? Can I ask a question?
I was going to say, yeah. Would you like to give it a go? Have you got a pressing question?
There is a pressing question because again, I've been banging on enough about it this week. Can it write me a sales pitch? I wanted to write me a sales pitch for a new Spark training platform hosted by me, and just see what it would generate, what it'll give me that I can then go put on the internet.
Write me a sales pitch.
Yep.
My new Spark training.
Yep. New Spark training platform. Hosted by Simon Wiley.
Ooh.
Oh, designed. That's fine.
Let's go.
I mean that's...
I like that.
Pretty good. It's very complimentary. Renowned expert in the field of big data and Spark.
Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, our platform has something for everyone. That's brilliant. Sign up now and start your journey towards become a
Spark master today. I mean, that is pretty incredible. The one thing it hasn't got is the sales pitch I'm so proud of, which is it'll take you from relational to sensational.
We could add that in. We could certainly add that in and ask it to tweak it. But
that is great. I mean, it's up-to-date training materials, interactive exercise, hands-on projects. How does it know? That could be a complete lie. Our training it does have that in, but it might not. So you'd have to be careful if you're using this to generate it and make sure it's not just, well, generically it has these things in and you're not just selling something that's not in the thing that you were doing. But in terms of writing copy, that's actually very good.
That is very good. Exactly.
Cool. I mean, I guess it's one of those things it's a bit like AutoML in a way, in that you can't just hit go and rely on it and trust the results. But if you're looking to start something, you're like, okay, I need to articulate this. Chat GPT, explain this thing, and then you take it, and then you just tweak it to make sure it's right. But you're not doing the grunt work of starting from scratch.
No, and this is also more creative, right? Well, it's generating something there that you've asked, and it would have taken me days to do that for you, Simon.
I'm a little annoyed about how good that pitch is.
It's pretty good, yeah. It really is.
There was one thing that Terry was having to play with, which is then using the chat and then tweaking it. I think his favorite was change it so it's targeted at toddlers, or make it for a toddler.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try this. Oh, I'm intrigued now. Okay.
For little ones to learn about computers. I mean, it's fair.
Right? You're going to help children understand the basics of computers and programming.
I mean, when we're playing with this, actually, so that's an interesting bit of context, because this has changed it so it's the target audience for the training is a toddler. Whereas I think when the guys were having a play with this, they said make it in language for a toddler, and then it was very much like, it's Sparky time, come and join us in the play. But it's all about the context of how you ask the question and how you phrase it. Oh, that's super interesting. All right, okay. I'm gonna switch back to just us, and then I guess the question is that's fun. There's lots of kind of just bits of like test its knowledge, test its questions, write a bit of example code. How can we actually use this? What's it? What are the day-to-day use cases where we'd actually use it rather than it's a fun little toy that's just come out?
It is a fun little toy, I must say. Last night I was playing with recipes. Inspire me with new recipes. I've got this leftovers in the fridge, and create me new recipes. There's so many things we could do in terms of fun things.
That makes me sad. I like the what can I dredge out of my memory and make out of this? Look, I made this, but also if you're lacking inspiration, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and lacking time as well, Simon. So I'm like, look, just hit me with a recipe. I've got 20 minutes. I'm gonna go and cook. Let me know what I can cook. And these are the contents that I have. So
but is it just for that kind of thing? Just for personal things? What are the cold-hearted business use cases that we can use?
No, absolutely not. I mean, that's just a fun thing. But given what Chat GPT is capable of doing, what it's trained to do, there's loads and loads of use cases, right? So the top three that comes to mind is sentiment analysis. If you've got, say, a document there that you're trying to gauge the sentiment, you could use Chat GPT very easily to give you whether it's positive, neutral, negative. The other huge benefit that I see is text summarization. So if you're, for example, take legal documents, huge documents, right? And often what you want to do is just summarize it, understand high level what the document is talking about or providing, and that then can be used for classification, just channel down to different parts. That's another huge benefit that ChatGPT can provide.
Cool. Yeah. I'm assuming the list is endless in terms of just generating that stuff.
Exactly. I could spend the next half an hour talking to you about the number of use cases that ChatGPT can come in and help businesses.
Well, I'm afraid you do still have a job. You still have to go and help businesses yourself. That's how it works. But no, that is really, really cool. So what are we going to see? What's the next steps? Do we know kind of like when people can access it? How do people get hold of it currently?
It's free now for people to have a play with it. We'll put a link on the video below.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, people can have a play with it. It's free as well. I'm not sure how much longer it'll be free, but at the minute now, go and have a play, have a look at it. Look at how we can summarize documents for you, even completing emails, so creating titles for your next blog that you want to write, or even creating a little blog article for a course module that you're creating. It can do lots and lots of things.
Very, very, very cool. All right. Thank you, Gavi. Thank you for joining us. And I'm sure there's more weird and wacky things on the data science side we'll drag you back onto the channel for.
Yeah, absolutely, Simon. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Okay. So yeah, super weirdly exciting things in there and annoyingly good at generating some stuff. Just obviously be a little bit careful about the context. Really be careful about, it's actually got the right angle. Check things that are generated for you before you actually use them in anger. But yeah, surprisingly good and interactive and chatty and annoyingly good at writing code. But we're all still safe for now. So that is the wacky world of ChatGPT. Hopefully that is interesting. Love to know what people are currently using it for. If you're currently using any kind of generative AI to generate text, what are the use cases? How are you using it? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.